What's up guys, my name is Elle and welcome to or back to the Coffee Shop Project. Today we're touring Apotheos Roastery in Kennesaw, Georgia under the guidance of their roaster, Jason. We're gonna start with a Q&A and then move on to the roaster, so subscribe down below and let's get into it. How is roasting for cold brew different than roasting for like hot and regular coffee?
There's not really a difference. It all comes down to what you feel tastes the best. It's more so the brewing method. So for cold brew itself, brewing the coffee at room temperature over a longer period of time is an extraction process. Think of using an infuser for like fruit water. The roasting process itself it does not differ. For us, we have a blend that we specifically created for cold brew that we've been using since about 1996, and we haven't changed it since. And that's the main reason why this facility exists, because we really believe in that recipe.
So I guess I know when you make different roasts, you mix different varieties of green coffee beans. How do you choose those and then put it in there? How long do you roast it and cool it to get your ideal calibrated coffee?
So one thing that we specialize in is blends. We feel like single origins, for the most part, anyone can eventually stumble on. As long as they have some knowledge of roasting, they can eventually stumble on a way to make the coffee taste good. For us, to be able to do a blend is not only proprietary, but it's also unique. So if, say, our beacon blend, which is what we use exclusively for our cold brew, you're only going to be able to get it here. So that is the cool part about doing blends.
So I read online, your brand really branded themselves around cold brew. Why did you choose to do cold brew as a niche?
Well, cold brew is still a fairly new market. We have drank a lot of different cold brews.
Yeah.
And we feel like ours stands apart from other competitors.
What do you think that you do differently that makes yours the best?
We've spent a lot of time perfecting the cold brew process for us in general, a lot of time. And we feel like the method that we use for extraction and then just the overall process makes our product taste a lot cleaner, and also brings out the flavor of the coffee a lot more. Coffee is very subjective, and what one person, take for instance our Genesis blend.
Okay.
It was the first blend that my boss ever created, and we exclusively decided to use that as our espresso. Okay. For our cafes in Atlanta, and that was a little bit of trial and error. You brew it as just a regular pot of coffee. You throw it in the espresso machine, extract it, see what you get. Does it taste good? And we thought it was good. This is a Diedrich IR35, IR meaning infrared, 35 meaning 35 kilos. So it holds roughly about 90 pounds. Okay. Roughly. So this is as big as we're willing to go and still be considered craft. It's fully automated. I still have to determine a profile, but once it's set up, it's locked in for life. In a manufacturing setting, it's really important because people, if they're getting our beacon blend, they want it to be beacon blend every single time, not just maybe it might be beacon this time, maybe it might not be. But yeah, so I weigh out the green coffee to a bin right here. It vacuums up into the hopper, and then whenever I reach my drop temperature, I'm off.
Is the cooling, that's where it cools, right? It spins and it cools it down. I know normally it's 4 minutes. Is it any different for cold brew?
No. The roast itself isn't really what impacts the cold brew itself. That's after the beans are done. The cooling tray, so we'll heat up to somewhere around the neighborhood of 450 degrees. Okay. And whenever those beans come out, you want them to cool as fast as possible. If they don't, they still keep cooking. And they will actually get shades darker. Whenever they're in the tray, this arm spins around and will essentially help release the heat. Plus, there is a fan that pulls air from the outside room in through the beans and out through the exhaust to help cool it as fast as possible.
Okay.
Because whatever you roast it to, you want it to be that color profile. If it moves too slow, then it will keep cooking and it'll get darker and darker. So you do have to factor that into your roast. So this is actually some beacon that I roasted, and we like to take our darks right to the point before oil starts to extract onto the outside of the bean. First crack typically signifies around whenever a medium roast is going to be starting, and then second crack is usually the sign for a dark roast. Now, for us, we take it right to the point for our dark roast right at second crack, because that is one of our roasting methods. That's not all there is to doing a dark, but for us, if everything else goes right before that, then that's usually our signifier for when we can end the roast.
Okay. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Coffee Shop Project. Subscribe down below for part 2 on Wednesday, where we will be diving into Apotheos' Nitro Cold Brew production. And while you're there, check the description for all things Apotheos, from their Instagram to their shop. Once again, special thanks to Luke and Jason for making this video possible, and I will see you guys in part 2.